agenda. So what I'm going to touch upon in this session is some engagement design principles that will hopefully help you think about some other aspects of designing, engaging consultations and projects. And after we've been looking at some principles, I'm actually going to focus a lot on some case examples. So I'm not talking about any particular products or tools. So those are obviously tool independent. You can do most of that stuff with any tool that you're using. The idea here is to give you some pointers and again ideas how you could improve your practice. Then moving on to data visualization. So looking at some results and examples again, how you can visualize some of the data that you're capturing in your projects. And in the end, I hope we could share some experiences, challenges, ideas together. I'm aware that the time is quite limited. We only have half an hour, but I'm trying to leave some time in the end. So as you're thinking, you're seeing an example that I'm showing that reminds me of this and that. So maybe in the end, you would be able to share that with the rest of us. Okay, let's start with some design principles. First of all, I'd like to draw your attention to the fact that when we're doing especially digital engagement, we are often talking about the usability of those surveys and questionnaires. But that's just one part of the thing. So it's all about removing friction. So as it is more usable, more people are likely to go through the whole survey, the questionnaires and so forth. But the usability actually doesn't do much about increasing motivation. So if there's an example that you are consulting on new process or on your building permits, so it's not going to be very exciting even if you have very usable survey on that. So many people might think, I'm not interested. So what you need to think about was to maybe cover that it's functional, it's reliable, usable, might be even convenient, which means it's super easy to use. But if we put more focus on thinking about things like pleasurable, creating memorable experiences. So if we are talking about building permits, for instance, we could create interesting gamification, step by step, how do you do that in the new process. And that's something that people would be willing to do through and even tell their friends and relatives that this was really exciting, so it was fun. I actually collected some points or whatever. So having it memorable will increase the chances of getting more and more traction. And the last step would be, of course, meaningful. So finding ways to increase the personal significance of those consultations. Bit more concrete ideas on design principles. First of all, you are all probably aware of different learning styles in different presentations. Still, I notice that we often forget that when we are designing those consultations. So some people like seeing, so it could be like images that work better for them. Some people like hearing, so using podcast or using videos that combines seeing and hearing is one option. On the other hand, some people like reading and writing, so in those cases documents are better. Or then doing. There was a very good example, some of you probably attended the previous session here on digital engagement. There was augmented reality, virtual reality, so that's a very good way of reaching out to those people who don't want to just talk about it or read about it, they just want to do and go and see how it is. And of course it's a challenge if you have already a lot of things to do, so how do you provide all of those? But ideally, of course, think of the different methods. You would have different channels so that you let the users or the people decide what works for them, and through that you will get more and more responses. Also think about the format in a sense that some people want to talk in a group or interact in a group, whereas some people won't say a thing in a group. Instead, they need that face-to-face time, private discussions and so forth. So also And then one personal preference is typically also this non-linear and linear. Some people prefer to go through a consultation or for instance a survey that check, step 1, step 2, I've completed and it's ready. Whereas some people would prefer to have maybe a visual image or map where you can scroll, you can go to different areas. You're maybe interested in a certain part more, so you can explore that without being forced to go through a linear step that's not very comfortable for the way that you think or work. So those are about the learning styles, or the different styles we have. Moving on to reactions. So the reactions we have on new things that we see and encounter, they're always emotional. So that's something we can also leverage. It comes back to the previous slide. So creating those memorable experiences of personal significance. So if you can create experiences that they really remember, that's something that they're going to tell other people as well. And you get the viral effect of sharing and so forth. Another way of reaching to emotion is the storytelling. Very good example actually from last year is the Tasmanian Fire Service. And they won one of the core awards for a storytelling map that they created. So it was about the bushfires, I think in '67, which is still a big topic. And they gave an opportunity for people to enter video booths and make recordings of what they remember of those. And they put it on a map, so you could kind of scroll the area and click on different areas. So it was storytelling. So for the participants, they get to tell their own story, but it was also storytelling for people who are looking at the results. And those are very captivating. So again, if you can incorporate some storytelling in your consultations, that's more likely that it's going to be something that they remember, something that they want to come back to. I like to mention that the attention span has been getting shorter. You all know that it's been the last 10 years. Facebook, LinkedIn and so forth. Click, click, click. Let's get on to the next one. So long form text is not probably going to work. So if you can be concise, it's going to be more likely that you'll get more attention. Engaging directly on the source. That's partially about selecting the tools and channels. So if, for instance, if you have a plan, if you can make the consultation in a format that people can actually look at, for instance, the plan and leave feedback directly on the plan, it's much more likely that you'll get relevant feedback compared to the fact that if you have a PDF plan that they have to read through and then they go to a survey where they answer questions and so forth. So having direct feedback on the source and then getting that information back into your planning, that's going to save time and it's going to increase the participation again. What I also like to mention is that sometimes the threshold of creating some visuals, for instance videos, seems to be quite high. We don't have the budget or it's a big project. In some cases you can create something very simple that's captivating without any big budgets. All of our mobile phones nowadays, they do high definition videos. So take the project manager, take a nice setting, nice background, he or she sits down and explains, for instance, the project or the reason for that. And you capture it with your mobile phone and you put that online. It's going to be half an hour, 1 hour, no cost, and again, you have one more channel to bring out the information and get people interested. Or you could use interactive graphics. There are a lot of online tools that you can do the graphics interactive so that people can drill in, look at from different perspectives. Having different scenarios and virtual tours, so that's also interesting. The last thing on these design principles before moving on to some examples, I'd like to point out is sometimes it's also useful to use some kind of tricks. For LinkedIn used a few years back this profile completeness, and that is a big draw to some people. So they see that here's my profile, it's only 70% complete. So what do I need to do? I need to upload an image, I need to put this and so forth. And I think that's something we could use also more in community engagement. I actually have one example on that. So it's of course, again, not going to work for all people, but some people are extremely captivated with this kind of semi-gamification where you get points or you have some percentages that you want to fulfill. One example or idea could be that you have 2 or 3 surveys that a certain group should fulfill each month to get their 100%. So some people might feel the last week of the month they say, oh no, I'm not at 100%, so maybe I still want to give feedback on something. So a few case examples. My case examples, I have some from Australia, some from Europe, some from US. This is a local from Melbourne, city of Moreland. They have been bickering about the location of the toilet for 20 years. And it was very controversial. And what we did in cooperation, and we've seen this project, is put in a visual format on a map 2 locations, and then this kind of augmented reality or just images where you put the toilet into the environment where it is. And the survey was just that. You could see those are the options. And in addition, they also asked about the location of the respondents. I'll come shortly back to that at the end of the presentation, because that was also a significant part of using data visualization to end the long-lasting fight. Here's another example. I mentioned that engaging directly on a source. So this is still a document. So I mentioned not all people are comfortable reading documents, but if they are, that might be a good way of engaging and delivering information. And then combining it with something that you can just click and drop comments or start discussions within the document. It can be as simple as this, that you have comments, or here you can see someone had a comment and another person has responded and started a discussion on that. So in some cases the tools don't have to be that fancy or special, but if it's just very straight to the point and simple, you can see what you are commenting on and then doing an immediate reaction on that. Here's a similar example as the city of Moreland. This is now from Europe. A city that did a planning on a city center that's a river, it's probably hard to see. Wanted to get some feedback. Again, a very straightforward and simple consultation, putting things on the map and then having people drop ideas, comments, what would they like to have. And again, in the end, I'll show you some results, but just to mention that with this approach, they got hundreds of responses, and if you imagine that you would be trying to ask them without that they would be able to access directly on the map, it would be hard to explain, for instance, that I would like to have this bridge painted or something. You can see there's already 4 bridges in this one image. So you run into trouble quite fast unless you can directly access the data and the visualization where you want to have those ideas. Gamification is also a hot topic. I'm bringing one example again from Europe. What they did in this case is cooperation between the schools and the city planning. It was a district where they had quite a lot of issues with vandalism, and the youth were breaking down everything that they were doing. And they did a kind of budget game where they had a certain amount of money that the youth in school groups, along with the teachers, they could actually put in the money and plan how they would use that. Some of those plans were also taken into implementation, so they actually could see that some of the things that they were suggesting came into fruition. But the more important thing was that when they could see the prices of those things, when a 15-year-old understands that the bench is going to cost $2,000. It's not just a $100 thing. That changed a lot of the behavior. Not necessarily those who are breaking things, so they might not care, but the other youth were starting to emphasize and exercise some pressure because they understood that, okay, this is going to affect if we're going to get the new skate park or not, if we're going to break this and that and that. So within a 1 or 2 year period, there was a huge change in how the people behaved, or especially the youth behaved, because they had a much more understanding through this gamification. What's the real cost of things? I also mentioned that using different platforms, different channels might be interesting. This is about using mobile apps, and this city launched a mobile app for community engagement. It was back in 2016. In the first launch months, they already got 2,000 downloads of the app, which is a huge amount. Because if you've been working in community projects, if you would be getting 2,000 people involved, you know that's amazing. And also, since they've been feeding in events, news, and so forth in the app, it's something that people value and find useful. So you can see that the numbers of downloads have been going up. So currently over 4,000, and that was, we have a population, I think this is a city like 200,000 people, so it's a fair share of the whole population that you have already there, and then you can ask questions. First project got almost 1,000 people giving responses. So just to spark some ideas that the different formats, but also different platforms. It could be online, sometimes it's best to do face-to-face, sometimes it might be a mobile app that might get you the masses of giving your feedback in a very simple, straightforward way. So, not just slides, I'm going to show you quickly. Let's look at the time flying. It seems we are well on time. Again, a few examples. Oh, it isn't working. Just a moment. Guess I need to end the presentation mode somehow. Yeah. These examples are mostly from the US. I picked them because I thought they were very good examples. Again, I'm not saying that you should use these tools or whatever, but just an idea how you can captivate audience with very simple visual things and access. This is about putting interactive content on a document. In this Colfax case, for instance, you have on images dots where you can explore that in a street view. So I won't be open that you know what Google Street View is, but you can dive in and see how it looks like. Or here you can see view long-term solution. So if you click on that, it opens up a window where you see a 3D model of that area. So again, very visual, very simple. I want to know something more about it. One click, and I can dive into that. Or then we had here, if we go a bit down, again, a street view example, or also video. So high community priorities. What do people see as the key opportunities? And then you can listen to the community voice, embedded video. Again, I will be playing you the video, you get the idea. So I think this is a very interesting, exciting way of doing engagement in a way that you can go into different aspects, and if you like reading, you can read. If you like listening to videos, you can pop into a video. You can look maps, so offering different options. So another example, it's about the zoning plan. So in this example, in fact, it's not even extremely pretty, the solution, but it's very simple and powerful. So you have an existing zoning plan, you have a proposed new zoning plan, and typically people are interested in what's going to happen in my neighborhood. So you can type in an address, so my street at my suburb, and you can see, for instance, it would be here. you can see the current zoning is single-family residence, and it's going to be changing to residential house scale. Or then you can just scroll and zoom, having this comparison. You click wherever you want to click, and you then get a pop-up of it's a central business district, and it's suggested to be downtown core. So again, very direct on the source. You can see what's happening, and then form opinion, and then give feedback on what you want to do. Participatory budgeting, budget tools have been a hot topic as well. So I wanted to show you one example as well. I think this is also very exciting. This is a regional transport plan for 2050, so a long-term plan. You have a few simple questions, but actually the key thing is here that you have a budget, 290 million, and you can actually click and cite those. So you can see that if I spend 77 million on road and bridges, I'm going to get a certain amount of road and bridges. If I'm feeling that's very important, I'll put it up. I get more roads and bridges, multi-lane roadways. So the medium was here with 13 miles. I don't like roads or cars, so multi-lane roadways down. I saved a lot of money, maybe I can spend it somewhere else. Intelligent transport systems, so if I want to have a lot of them, maybe 7 projects, or then go down, maybe just 3 projects. And clicking here, you can all the time see the budget and the available money. In this case, we are over budget, so I can't submit, so I have to come within budget with the tool like this, and then I can I have to go all the way. Transit improvements are cancelled with my plan, and then I can submit. So. But again, the reason for solving this is that what I really like is that it's very direct, very simple, just a few clicks, and you can show a lot of things. Last example, I mentioned the scorecards or leaderboards, giving points to people. This is the engagement portal from Westminster City Council. And what they've created is this kind of leaderboard. Of course, it's not going to appeal to all people, but some people are really crazy about stuff like this. So if you look at the leaderboard, you can see that uploading a profile picture is going to get you 25 points, referring a friend, responding to a survey, 20 points. So for instance, Antoinette has 40 points, so I'm guessing she's responding twice to a survey and has gotten 40 points. So some people are competitive, so you might want to feed into that as well.
Are those points actually changed?
Sorry?
The points actually get
I think they haven't designed yet if they have. Actually, I'm not intimately familiar with this case. I just found a very good example how you can do it. But that's a good idea, so to have some kind of rewards. Once you get 1,000 points, I don't know, you get a free ticket to the aquatic center for a week or something. That's something we also do. So, last few things before we run out of time. Data visualization. So those were a heap of examples what you can do with different tools, or with many tools actually. Just the things that you might want to consider to get a lot of people interested, get them give you feedback, and then moving into data visualization when you actually have the information. This is again an Australian example. Victorian Planning Authority did a project on Preston Market and did a very visual report on the map-based feedback that they got. So I'm not showing you a live example here, but this is actually an interactive graphic. So you could click on, for instance, the 40 to 44-year-olds, and then this graphic would change what they responded. It's actually the next slide. So for instance, what you love about the Preston Market. So people have been dropping dots. They have been categorized. Again, you can drill in different aspects. So what do they say about food, and who people are actually commenting about food. And this gives a lot of opportunities how you can communicate the results to the public so that it will be meaningful and easy to use. Because, for instance, if you are, well, I would be here in the 40 and 45, so I would of course click so what others in my age group would be saying. Maybe I would also be interested in design, so I would look what others in my age are saying about design. So good idea of drilling down on information. Another example, this is related to the one I showed, that giving feedback on a document. Sometimes reporting doesn't have to be, the data visualization doesn't have to be so complicated. Sometimes you just want to do very simple things. So comments by type or having a sentiment analysis of those is going to tell you a lot about where the community is at this point. So having just a few diagrams, very well picked, can give you more information than a huge report that has everything you could imagine. This was the Vantaa Riverside development, and here you can see collecting data on the map. They create a heat map. This made it very easy for the planning to take it back, and then you could identify the areas, what are the hotspots of the people's interest, and going through those comments was a breeze compared to having maybe an Excel sheet or something that you would have been working through. This is my last on data visualization. I said the Moreland had a big issue with the toilet. Now it's finally resolved. As you know, some people are very noisy when they are passionate about something. So we can see that's the park that wanted to have the toilet, or when they wanted to build it. And there were quite a few people, this N is no, so they were against it. And they were very loud, so there was an impression that the people living close to the park, they were strongly against it, and they were disputing all the previous consultations that not all people have been heard, or the ones that would actually be affected, they are against it, and so forth. But in this case, they also asked where the respondents are living, and they could then show that, okay, yeah, there's a group that don't like it, but if we look at the yes answers, so even people living right next to the park, it's a huge majority that actually wants to have the toilet, and also being able to show that all around the city there were people responding and taking part. So they could finally put to rest all those arguments about not being conclusive, not doing this and that, with a few visual tricks that finally convinced. Of course, these people were still not happy, but they just ran out of arguments and they could finally build the toilet. Okay, if we have time, I'd love to hear if you have any ideas or thoughts that you saw that reminded me of this, or if there's any questions.